Everybody wants to hit 100K per month on Google Ads with consistent profitable revenue coming through the channel, but few brands ever really hit it. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to reach 100K per month in profitable revenue coming through Google Ads. I'm going to walk you through every single stage from start to finish that shows you every step along the way. So let's get right into it. So how would I scale a Google Ads account to 100K per month as quickly as possible in 2026? Well, it's through these main three phases. You can see we've done this before. In fact, this account scaled to 200K per month in spend while generating $1.68 million in revenue every single month. And we increased it from previously only, I think it was about 10, 12K a month spend, right? You can see increased $202,000 per month, and the revenue went up by $1.63 million per month just by us making the right adjustments and changes in this account. So I'm going to walk you through those exact changes that we carried out in this account to achieve these results through this three-phase structure. Phase one is proof of concept. You can't skip this phase. If you have success on Meta, if you have success on other platforms, organic, email, whatever it may be, you still have to prove the concept on Google. Just because it works on something else doesn't mean it's going to work for you on Google. Now, the way that you can do that is by these specific mechanisms. First of all, you need to make sure that you can validate demand and drive results. This is what it looks like when you can really validate demand well and drive results quickly. You can see this account has only been running for about 1 week now, July 8, July 15. And you can see from zero, starting at zero on July 8, it's already made $13,000 in revenue with only $1.37 thousand in spend, which is almost a 10x return, and it is increasing every single day. Look at that revenue. It is a consistent graph upwards, minor dip there, yes, but consistently going up and up and up alongside the spend, which is exactly what you want to see. And this is proving demand and results on Google. Now, how do you get to this phase? How do you start driving results like these? There are a few things you need to focus on. Number one, the one that I always recommend you do first before anything else, is your conversion tracking setup. You need to make sure that you have your conversion tracking locked in. Now, you can watch this video of mine on my channel from not too long ago, about 3 months ago. You can see still my $75 million Google Ads conversion tracking setup. I walk you through exactly how to set up conversion tracking for your store if you're running an e-commerce brand. And if you're running a service-based business, I do have other guides as well available on that. However, it is a very straightforward process, but if you don't do it right, you will absolutely tank your results. You cannot get results in Google Ads without a good conversion tracking setup. So it is imperative that you start with your conversion tracking, make sure everything's dialed in on the fundamentals, so then you can actually start running campaigns and track what's happening. The problem is, if you don't have accurate conversion tracking in your account, you can't show Google what a good result looks like, what a conversion looks like, what a sale looks like. And as a result, it's not going to be able to get more sales for you. You need to show Google what success looks like so it can replicate that success and achieve more of it for you. So what do you need to focus on at this stage, right? You need to focus on bottom of funnel demand capture from non-brand traffic, right? So you need to capture people who are searching for your product and you need to sell it to them. This is the easiest way to validate demand in the proof of concept phase is through search and shopping campaigns. So bottom of funnel demand capture, non-brand, what does that mean? So people who are actively searching for what you sell. If you run a landscaping business, then you need to be capturing people searching for landscaping near me. If you sell frying pans, you need to be capturing people searching for titanium frying pan, non-stick frying pan, right? You do this through search campaigns and shopping campaigns. They're literally the only campaigns you need in this phase. If you are a service-based business, you start with just a non-branded search campaign and a branded search campaign. If you're a e-commerce brand, you start with just a non-branded shopping campaign and a branded search campaign. Now, what is brand and non-brand? What am I talking about? Okay, so branded traffic is basically traffic who are searching for your brand name. So if you're a landscaping business and your name is Green Grasscapes, let's just say, for example. If someone's searching for green grasscapes, that is branded traffic. But if someone's searching for landscaping near me, that is non-branded because they don't have any brand intent behind it. That is looking for someone to provide a service. And that is a new customer, right? Same goes for e-com, right? If someone's searching for your brand name, it's branded traffic. If you're searching for the product itself, it's non-branded. And you always want to lean into this non-branded traffic because it actually represents new customers for you. If you just bid on the people who already know about you, you're going to be essentially wasting that money because they already know you. You don't need to pay for an impression in a lot of cases. It is good to capture them, but you need to make sure you're capturing them very cheaply, which is why you should run branded campaigns for them. But that shouldn't be the main focus. The main focus should be search campaigns, shopping campaigns, non-branded. These are the things that will get you to scale. If you have a good product and you put it into a shopping campaign and you have a good setup with conversion tracking, with also your Google Merchant Center, which I mentioned in a moment, and you have the right budget behind your campaign, it will generate revenue if it's a good product. If it's not a good product, it won't generate revenue. And then you won't have to worry about this. You have to start with a new product, right? This is the phase of validating demand. If you can validate demand for your product and you can get profitable results, that is when you move on to phase 2. Now, the other thing you need to focus on in this phase is dialed in fundamentals. So tracking and Google Merchant Center. I've already said tracking is imperative, so you can actually track what results you are getting in the campaign. Then Google Merchant Center is also very important. So this is where you basically tell Google what your products are, what you sell, and what searches it should trigger for if you're running a shopping campaign, if you're an e-commerce brand. Make sure your Google Merchant Center listings have high quality images, they have high quality titles, and the titles need to show a description of the product with the keywords that would trigger the search, but it also needs to show a reason for someone to click on it, right? So people need to be clearly shown what the product is, but it also needs to trigger on the right searches. So you need to write for the robots and the humans in the titles. Descriptions need to contain all the product data, all the relevant informational keywords that match to what people are searching for, and all of the information in the back end needs to be aligned on your Google Merchant Center too. Finally, branded capture. Now this is very, very cheap. If you already have some existing demand, say from Meta or say from word of mouth or just reputation, what you can do then is capture that branded demand by basically running campaigns on your brand name. So when people search for your brand name, you do want to capture it, but in a separate campaign and non-branded. So keep this fully excluded. Use exact match format to target branded terms in exact match in a search campaign. And what this does is it lets you get very cheap conversions with your perfect ideal customers. So you can feed that data back to Google and show Google what your ideal customers look like so it can find more of those people in your non-branded campaigns. It's a really good way to just boost the algorithm and give it more data on what good customers look like. Once you've done that, once you've got your bottom of funnel search, non-branded shopping, and your branded search, and it's generating consistent profitable revenue, usually around up to 10K a month in most cases. If you're getting to 10K a month in revenue, that's awesome. That's really good. And that means you can move on to the next phase. Now, phase 2 is saturating bottom of funnel, right? This is when you're in the phase of about $10,000 to $100,000 a month. This is a great phase to be in because it means you've proven your product, you know that it works, you know that it sells on Google, and now the goal is to scale. So what you need to do is you need to increase your impression share and scale your budget. So we're still really targeting this bottom of funnel, middle of funnel traffic at this stage, but you need to really make sure that now you're getting all of the impression share you need and you're remaining profitable. So if you want to find out the best way to structure your account at this phase, I'd recommend this full structure guide that I posted not too long ago. Walks you through literally all the campaigns that we run in our successful high spend accounts. So you can have the full structure, every single campaign from top to bottom, exactly that we run to generate results. I think it'd be very helpful for you. But there's a few things you need to focus on at this stage. The ones you need to focus on are account structure. So you've already dialed in your Google Merchant Center, your tracking, your fundamentals, your settings, everything like that. And now you've got a couple of non-branded search campaigns, non-branded search, non-branded shopping, branded search. And now you need to build out that structure into your ideal structure that covers every step of the funnel. So you need to build out additional campaign types, which I'll get to in a moment. You also need to prioritize winning angles and products. So what you'll find is within this search campaign, within the shopping campaign that you've built, there are going to be certain products and certain angles and certain search terms and insights that perform better than others. What you need to make sure you're doing is leaning into those, allocating more budget to those. So if you have, let's say, 3 to 5 products that are performing really, really well above the rest, grab those products, put them into their own campaign, and give them their own budget to spend. Because otherwise, Google won't allocate them as much money, and you won't be giving yourself the best chance of success and profit and scale. Do the same thing in search. If you find that there's a few search terms, a few search themes that perform particularly well above others, pull them out, put them in their own campaign, and scale into that because you're going to get better returns, and you're going to be able to scale harder. You also want to start leveraging PMax. So you need to do this properly though. When you leverage PMax, it allows you to remarket, and to a great extent. The PMax algorithm is really, really good at following people around the internet and getting them to buy. But if you don't put the right controls on PMax, it'll go buck wild and it'll start targeting the wrong people and it will lead entirely into branded traffic. So make sure when you run PMax, you exclude all branded traffic via both negative keywords and brand exclusions. And you also run on the right placements. So if that means creating a feed-only campaign, so you're just running shopping placements, or if it means going through exclusion lists and implanting exclusion lists to prevent PMax from placing in low quality placements, you need to do that as well. Because if you do not, then you will end up showing on the wrong placements, you'll end up showing on the wrong searches, you'll end up leaning into branded traffic, and you won't generate money with PMax. But when you use PMax properly, it can be a really, really good remarketing tool. One tip that I'll say, set the TROAS higher on PMax than on your shopping campaigns, and then it's going to naturally lean into remarketing. And if you've excluded branded traffic, it pretty much has to go down the remarketing route because those are the warmest customers it can find. This is where you want to be scaling budgets week on week. You don't want to cap out here. You don't want to lose momentum. You don't want to slow down. When you're in that 10K to 100K phase, you should be pushing budgets up every single week. And if you try to push a budget up and ROAS drops back, you need to find a way to essentially restructure so you can keep scaling without losing ROAS. Often that's a matter of pulling out winners, putting them their own campaigns and giving them their own spend and pushing hard into those. Or it's opening up new avenues that you can put more spend into, which I'll discuss in a little bit more detail in the next phase. However, that can potentially happen in this phase too. Finding the natural cap on demand within your KPIs. So this is a thing that exists in Google. You know, people say demand is infinite, you can't fully saturate it, but no, it does cap out, right? Especially if you're in a niche market, right? If you're selling a very specific type of dog supplement, for example, that's going to cap out in demand because there's only so many people searching for it. And once you do cap out on this, that's when you have to start generating demand, which is the next phase we'll get into. And it looks like this. Phase 3 is when you are entering top of funnel and scaling hard. This is 100K plus per month. This is a point, you know, and you could also argue this is just below 100K. Maybe it's 60, 70, 80K a month as well, where you're trying to just really scale hard and you have to move into top of funnel because you've fully saturated your middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. You want to dominate your market on Google and YouTube. As you can see here, this is an example of a brand that's doing pretty well. They're spending $65,000 a month, making $207K a month. They've had better months. They've been up and down. We've only recently started helping them, but I think they can scale to 500K plus per month with the right strategies in mind and by deploying these things that I'm about to mention here. So if you want the full structure actually on how to break through and scale past 100K a month, because this is a common plateau where people do get stuck, I made a whole video on it that walks you through every single thing you need to do in order to break through that plateau. Feel free to watch this one. You might find it helpful. It has a few higher level secret strategies that let you break through, which I'll mention briefly here. First of all is demand gen campaigns. So these are essentially just YouTube ads campaigns, YouTube and display, but they're very much top of funnel. So they're showing to people who are potentially problem unaware, potentially problem aware, but usually not solution aware and definitely not brand aware, right? These are kind of really high funnel people. And the goal of these demand gen campaigns, as it says in the name, is to generate more demand and fill your funnel further when you are capping out in your shopping, PMax, and search campaigns. So it creates more demand by showing people, hey, there's a problem you haven't been thinking of, come and check it out. Top of funnel search campaigns as well. So these are more problem-based, problem-aware targeted campaigns. So let's say you sell a foot cream for reducing maybe foot like flaking. I don't know what it's called. Like when you get like the rough dead skin on your feet, right? It reduces dead skin on your feet. You want to run a search campaign, for example, for someone searching for how to stop dead feet on skin. They don't know that there's a cream that exists to do it. They don't know what they want to buy. They don't know what the product is. So when they search for this, you show up in a search ad, you lead them to your landing page. Ideally, that landing page also is an educational style page. So you can show them, this is why our cream is the best option for people who don't want dead skin on their feet. You walk them through all the reasons, you show them some testimonials, you tell them why it's great, and then they end up buying. Optimizing individual buyer journeys. This is another really big one. So this is the biggest hack for scaling past 100K a month. You need to have every individual angle really, really locked down. And this is especially relevant with top of funnel search campaigns and demand gen campaigns, because in these top of funnel search campaigns and demand gen campaigns, you're going to be needing to agitate a certain problem or a certain issue that people are facing. In demand gen, you might have a creative that again focuses on the fact that people are sick of having dead skin on their feet. Same with top of funnel search. Both of these, if you just drove them straight to the landing page that shows your cream that helps dead skin, then it would work to an extent, but it wouldn't work as well as having an advertorial page that educates them on why your product is so good for the result they're trying to achieve. And that's what I mean by landing pages here. And also specific angles on creators in search. So that is when you accompany this landing page with your top of funnel search campaigns and your demand gen campaigns. And this lets you hit so many different pockets and markets with a really high relevancy. So for example, you hit the market of people searching for dead skin on feet, but then you also can hit a market which is just people who have maybe calluses or maybe any of those other like foot conditions that I'm not too familiar with. I know there's a few out there, but you can hit all these different angles with very specific creatives, very specific campaigns and targeting, and then lead them to landing pages with very specific sales copy and educational copy. The last thing you need to do at this phase is maximize your AOV, your LTV, and your gross profit, because this lets you afford a higher CAC. What you're going to find is the guys who are making 8 figures, 9 figures a year with their brands, the really, really big brands in your market, they can afford a very high CAC because they know that their customer will be worth a lot to them over their lifetime. Brands like IM8, like Grüns, like those kind of like D2C absolute monsters, They achieve such success because they spend so much on ads and they can afford such a high CAC. So they can spend 2 to 3 times what you can spend to acquire a customer and remain profitable because they've dialed in their average order value, their lifetime value of a customer, and their gross profit. So every single customer that comes through, they can afford to pay more for that customer. So focus on trying to optimize and improve these values on the back end of your website, whether it's adding upsells, whether it's adding subscriptions, whether it's just finding better suppliers with better margins. There's a bunch of different ways you can do it, but that's more logistically based than it is Google and marketing based. But that's everything. That's literally everything you need to do to get to 100K plus per month and continue scaling past 100K plus per month in Google Ads. There are these 3 phases you need to complete. If you do them in the process of these 3 phases and follow every step here, then you will reach success as long as you have a good product.